All right, all right. Thought that'd be a fitting song. Let me tell you about that song. In case some of y'all ain't old enough, which if you're in here, I doubt that. Y'all remember Jim Jones, the preacher that took 900 people down to South America uh, to get away from U.S. Lawmakers because it was a cult. He had them believing that he was the second coming of Jesus, and he uh, bed as many women as he wanted, including other people's wives, and had multiple children. But, and you remember there was a congressman, I think it was, I don't think he might have been a senator that went down there to investigate, and they shot and killed him on the tarmac of the little airport that's down there. So when that happened, they decided to put cyanide in the Kool Aid, and 900 people drank it. Worst mass suicide in history. And they were from here, South Charleston, Ohio, uh, 10 minutes down the road from my house. So that's and I always say, y'all hear me say it a lot if you watch my live streams, the idiot on the left that does all the stupid stuff, the violence and all this, they drink the Kool Aid. You hear me say it all the time. This is where that term came from, is because the left is a cult. And like Jim Jones's followers, these people who are following mainstream media and these left politicians drink the Kool Aid, willing to do whatever it takes because they believe it. It's a cult. So I say it all the time. They drink the Kool Aid. Well, I figured my brother actually reminded me of this group and this song from the days of Jim Jones. And it's very fitting because I'm from here. Jim Jones is from here. The Haitian issue is like a national thing from here. So, we're in the news a lot. This little tiny area of Ohio is in the news a lot. Too much, actually, for all the wrong reasons. So, anyways, I've decided to make that my theme song going forward because it fits the message that I'm trying to say. Let me try to once again. I guess it looks like it's working. Yesterday my chat didn't work, so it looks like it's working. Let me see if I can get my eyes focused here. How you doing, Ann? Let's see who all is in here today. So we got Ann. Just seen a clip on Instagram about foreign-owned meat company in Colorado that's wanting to get on the NASDAQ exchange and has links to trafficking. Well, then they should be paused until that's investigated. I'll look into that. I wanted to go live today because did y'all see the press conference in the Oval Office a few hours ago? Man, Trump brings the fire. He does it in front of the American people, in front of all the mainstream media, so they can't spin their bullshit lies, although they still try, and only those who drink the Kool-Aid believes it. But if you watch, and I know they're going to edit the clips, but I've got the full interview, and I want to go through it and talk about it because I haven't seen the full interview. I've actually just seen the clips like everybody else, but I've seen the honest clips of him where the South African president is basically uh, acting like Zelensky in a little bit of a way, trying to educate Trump on the situation there. And then Trump brought receipts and brought video. And it kind of put a spin on the old African president there. He didn't know exactly how to handle that for a minute. So, but I haven't watched the whole thing. So we'll watch it together. If you haven't watched it, yeah, come to the right place. And I'm going to talk my shit as we go through it, obviously, because that's what I do. Carl, you're not drinking the Kool-Aid. Come on, man. Nobody, if anybody in this country is not drinking the Kool-Aid, it's you, Killer Carl. Please. But you know, you hear me say it all the time, don't you? Because of where I'm from. Jim Jones, way back in the day, and the crazies on the left. It's a cult. That's my new theme song. It's going to be on the beginning of all my live streams going forward because I need you to know that you can't drink the Kool-Aid. Don't do it. Stop. Put it down. Walk away from it. Just put it down. Walk away. Come to the dark side and you'll start seeing a little light because it's got to be a little dark before it gets light. You know that, right? Got to have got to rain sometimes before the sun comes out. And we thought we were in those days where the sun's coming out. And don't get me wrong, a lot of days it's partly cloudy and the sun pops through, but it's still raining. Matter of fact, in some areas of this country, it's thunderstorming. And I'm not just talking about the weather. You know that. Yeah, there you go, Dave. Tell him Carl's a coffee addict. 55 Coffee. You can get it. 55coffee.com. Carl15 is the promo code. You get, was it Carl 15% off? Yeah, that's what it is because it's Carl 15. Sorry. So, yeah, 55coffee.com. Carl 15. Get 15% off. All the coffee drinkers that's comes in his live stream, they all love it. It's awesome stuff. And I don't know much about this Buffalo Wool Company, Carl, that you have on your live stream now, but I'll get that memorized and I'll help out on that as much as I can because Carl needs to be promoted. Carl is like the godfather of all these up and coming live streamers who are trying to just talk about the truth and what we're going through and what we need to do and sift through the BS of the mainstream media and not just the mainstream media, but our politicians themselves. So, but today I want to talk about the Oval Office meeting. I want to talk about Marco Rubio going up against, I can't remember her name. When I play the clip, you'll know who I'm talking about, where she's arguing about removing these college students on these visas. She's arguing about keeping them here in the country. And then I want to talk about the type of adults that these colleges are producing and how fucked we are if these are going to be our future leaders. No problem, Carl. No problem. Anything I can do, you know that. And then, this video is a couple weeks old now, but Letisha James, it's just I don't know what it is with the people on the left. It's like they talk about morality all the time, but yet they have no problem lying because in their philosophy, uh, if it's for the good of their cause, not the good of the people, but the good of their cause, it say whatever's necessary. Bullshit lies, anything you can talk about, that's what they do to get their message across and talk you into drinking the Kool-Aid. Don't drink the Kool-Aid. May taste good, but the after effects will be horrible. Let's talk about Israel. All right. Uh, what specifically you want to talk about? Because more and more the world is going against them, calling, the attacks on the Palestinian people and Gaza and all that is looks more and more like genocide. And I'm not an expert at it as far as because I worry about stuff that's happening here in the country more than anywhere else. But I do know that things that happens over there affects here too. So I'm not an idiot. At least I don't think I am. I'm pretty sure I'm not. It depends on who you talk to, I guess. But that's another subject. So, Dave, you want to come on? We'll have a conversation. Dude, I know you can educate me on this whole subject, and I'm sure I'll be in full agreement with you because me and you think a lot alike. So if not, uh, type fast so we can have that conversation through chat. Anybody else in the chat room that wants to have a conversation about that, if you want, let's talk about it. Because, like I said, I'm not an expert, but I have paid a little bit of attention what's going over there, and I do realize it's looking worse and worse on Israel. Right, and the world rightfully should be against them. Save it for another day. Yeah, I think they've punished them enough for that October 7th attack. I think they've done enough damage as a payback. I really do. I agree with you. It's time for peace. It's time for something different. There you go, Carl. I ask Dave all the time to get on here. Dave sends me a lot of stuff. And Dave, I seen in my message, you sent me something and I was going to watch the video, but I hadn't had a chance yet. I had to run a few errands today and take somebody to a doctor's appointment. Matter of fact, my next couple of days, I'll be taking family members to doctor's appointments and lawyer appointments. You know what I'm saying, Carl? But anyways, I'm still going to try to live stream. It'll just be later in the day, like it is right now, instead of in the morning. Like I like doing the morning stuff because I'm clear headed and body feels the best that it's going to feel all day. But you know, you got to do what you got to do. I'm devoted to getting more content out on Rumble. I am working on that, and hopefully, if Carl and them gets this radio thing kicked off, I'll be part of that for sure. So that'll be a morning deal. I got a job. Uh, my crippled ass is going back to work part time because I have to make ends meet, people. All right, Dave. So you want me to share that video? So I don't have it um, downloaded to where I can pull it up here on Rumble real quick. Uh, I believe it wasn't that a YouTube video. There you go, uh, Dave. If you can email it to Carl, uh, maybe we'll play it today. If not, we can get it on tomorrow for sure. But if Carl's willing to help me out here, we'll get that going because it's something important. If you send it to me, it's got to be important. I agree. But I tell you, while you guys are working that out, okay, Carl, I know you're going to send it to me. Okay, I see if I can bring it up as an email to play it. I probably can. But while we're working on that, guys, let's work on watching this press conference in the Oval Office, and let's talk about this while we're getting this video sent to Carl there, so he can send it to me, and we can wrap it up into a nice little bow. Oh, sorry. You see how I am? I'm clumsy. I need one of those swinging deals because my mic's on a pedestal, so it's real shaky. Good deal, Carl. Um, so let me go grab this news conference in the Oval Office real quick, and we'll continue to work on getting that other video.
Well, no, seriously. I'd rather have him answer. Yeah, I know the answer. It will be.
Our president will respond to you.
Yeah, let me.
Thank you, Mr. President.
It will take President Trump listening to the voices of South Africans, some of whom are his good friends, like those who are here. When we have talks between us on around a quiet table, it will take President Trump to listen to them. I'm not going to be repeating what I've been saying. I would say if there was Afrikaner farmer genocide, I can bet you these three gentlemen would not be here, including my Minister of Agriculture. He would not be with me. So it will take him, President Trump, listening to their stories, to their perspective. That is the answer to your question.
But, Mr. President, I must say that we have, wait. We have thousands of stories talking about it.
Sure.
And we have documentaries, we have news stories, and that. Is Natalie here? Somebody here to turn that? I could show you a couple of things, and it has to be responded to.
Yeah, sure.
Let me see the articles, please, if you would, and turn the lights down. Turn the lights down, and just put this on. It's right behind you, Johan.
It's not this parliament can do with or without you. People are going to occupy land, but they require no permission from you, from the president, from no one. We don't care. You can do whatever you want to do. Who are you to tell us what to occupy land or not? We want to occupy land. South Africa occupy land. That's who we are. Can we draw my member from this useless parliament? Yes, honorable member. Must never be scared to kill. The killing is part of the revolutionary act. Shoot to kill. No, sir. Kill the poor, the farmer. Kill the poor, the farmer. Pa, 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 pa. To kill. No, sir. Kill the poor, the farmer. The man of D-Day in PE is a white man. So these people, when you want to hit them hard, go after a white man. They feel a terrible pain because you have touched a white man. Not because Mashama and Sodi will not be touched. They will be touched, no one. But we are starting with this whiteness. We are cutting the throat of whiteness. No, kill the brewer, the farmer. Kill the brewer, the farmer. Pa, pa, pa. Shoot to kill. Come on, sir.
You just hear what he said? Shoot to kill. And it gets worse.
The farmer. Kill the poor. I don't know what's going to happen in the future. I'm saying to you, was not God for the killing of white people, at least for now. I can't guarantee the future.
Yeah, but and you understand somebody wants you mad, especially as it gets shared on Twitter. They freak out. It sounds like a genocide.
So it just said, shoot the farmer. We're going to shoot them. We're going to shoot them with a machine gun. Yeah.
Would expropriate land without compensation, whether they like it or not. If they object, they can seek refugee in America.
Now this is very bad. These are burial sites right
You
here.
see the look on the president's face? The president of Africa, that is, South Africa. Our man Trump brought receipts. He's been spouting all this time about the issues that his people's been going through all this, not about what they're doing. And don't get me wrong, they were under English rule for a very, very long time, because England is the one who colonized them. And the apartheid was a horrible thing, but we said it was a horrible thing, and we put sanctions and everything on South Africa at the time, and we didn't really do business with them as a country. Matter of fact, any person who wanted to have a real shot at a real business left the country. People like Elon Musk, and he wasn't the only one. They left because the hammer, the big fist of the United States said, no, you can't be like that. And then the English gave the country back to its people and said, hey, here, we're done. You govern yourself. And they're no better than the people who had them oppressed. So these people, these farmers, were not the government. They were just people living there like everybody else. Some of them been there since 1652. And then our Congress people talk about, well, why are we giving these people refuge? Why don't they go back to their home country? Why don't they go back to Europe, go to Germany and these places where they came from? Some of these people have been here since 1652. South Africa is their home. I'll continue.
Burial sites, over 1,000 of white farmers, and those cars are lined up to pay
Look at
love
that.
on a Sunday morning. Each one.
Sorry about the buffing. I don't know why it's doing
One
it
of
again.
those white things you see is a cross, and there's approximately 1,000 of them. They're all white farmers, the family of white farmers. And those cars aren't driving, they're stopped there to pay respects to their family member who was killed. And it's a terrible sight. I've never seen anything like it. Both sides of the road, you have crosses.
Where is that?
Those people are all killed.
Have they told you where that is, Mr. President? No, I'd like to know where that is because this I've never seen. But Okay.
I mean, it's in South Africa. That's where.
We need to find.
He needs to find out where it's at so he can make sure that it can't be happening no more. Sorry, damn video.
I don't know. Huh? I don't know.
See, he's talking to his staffers there. He's like, "Oh shit, what do I do? What do I do? And we're busted. I got to save face here, but you know the president ain't done yet. If you haven't watched this,
Okay.
Mr. President, the Pentagon announced that it would be a
look at there, JD Vance jumping in there. That's his wingman, man. Just like how they handled Zelensky. JD Vance is right there, ready to step in and you know, punt the ball for President Trump, get us in the end zone. They are a good team.
accepting a Qatari jet to be used as Air Force One.
What are you talking about?
Now look, did you just hear that reporter from CBS? I think it is talking about a freaking jet that's been given to us, going to the U.S. Air Force, not to Trump, going to the U.S. Air Force, and they're going to go through it and do what they need to do to make sure there's nothing on it that is left us so worried about national security. It's a freaking jet. I'm sure they go through it because they got to do a safety check on it, and they can run wands over everything and look for devices. And that's all that son of a bitch. Look, he just seen a video where they're talking about the African politicians and officials over there talking about killing white farmers. If you kill a white farmer, we will give you their land. We will use machine guns to kill the white farmer. And this moron wants to ask about a fucking plane.
What are you talking about? You know,
The Pentagon.
you gotta get What does this have to do with the Qatari jet? They're giving the United States Air Force a jet, okay? And it's a great thing. We're talking about a lot of other things. It's NBC trying to get off the subject of what you just saw. You are a real, you're a terrible reporter. Number one, you don't have what it takes to be a reporter. You're not smart enough. But for you to go into a subject about a jet that was given to the United States Air Force, which is a very nice thing, they also gave $5.1 trillion worth of investment in addition to the jet. Go back. You ought to go back to your studio at NBC because Brian Roberts and the people that run that place, they ought to be investigated. They are so terrible the way you run that network, and you're a disgrace. No more questions for me. Go ahead. Go ahead, talk about that. His name is Peter something. He's a terrible
If they're
reporter.
committing genocide, why invite them to the White House? I'll be quiet.
Quiet.
Sure, that's my question now.
Let's go.
Thank you so much. Anna Larson from ENCA in South Africa. Thank you very much.
Thank
for
you very
hosting
much.
us. What would you like President Ramaphosa to do about the situation?
I don't know. I don't know. Look, these are articles over the last few days. Death of people. Death. Horrible death. Death. I don't know.
But you know that
To pick anyone, white South Africans are fleeing because of the violence and racist laws. And this is all, I mean, I'll give these to you.
No, I'd like
So
to-
when you say, what would I like to do? I don't know what to do. Look at this. White South African couple say that they were attacked violently. And,
President Trump, when will you go and see for yourself if it is?
well, I could do that. Look, here's burial sites all over the place. These are all white farmers that are being buried.
President Trump.
And he asks about a jet that was given.
First
You ought to be
question,
ashamed of yourself. You know, you are so bad. You're such a bad reporter.
If they're committing genocide, why invite them? So if they are committing genocide, why invite the South Africans?
Yeah, Dave. Honestly, I think President Trump did slap him right there. Slapped him hard.
May I have permission to use President Trump? Mr. President
This
Trump,
is one after another. This family was wiped out. I'm just looking.
Can we get a
President
response from
Ramaphosa, can you give us
President
your reaction to those videos, Mr. President?
President
That's not
Trump,
one
would you?
reaction.
Well, I think the
Black
videos
people
are
lie
so.
more than white
No. When you look at the videos, I mean, how does it get worse? And these are people that are officials, and they're saying that kill the white farmer and take their land. That's what it is. And I have other friends in South Africa. I have people that left. One in particular that says you can't go there. He said they want to take your land. They take your land and they kill you. It's okay, and they say it's okay to do. Now we're going to talk about it,
We're going to.
but this is a tremendous. Look, this is story recent. These are all people that recently got killed.
Yeah.
And I don't know how it can get any worse. These are.
President Trump,
And you know, the men that you saw, the people that you saw in that movie, those are officials. Those are people that were in office. They had one march, they had a dance in your parliament, whatever you may call it, legislature.
But let me
it was
clarify that.
Yeah.
Let me clarify that, because what you saw, the speeches that were being made, one, that is not government policy. We have a multi-party democracy in South Africa that allows people to express themselves, political parties to adhere to various policies. And in many cases, or in some cases, those policies do not go along with government policy.
Those people were calling for the death of people. They were calling on violence. They were calling on the public to go kill farmers and take their land. Even in this country, you would get arrested for that. This guy's a fucking idiot.
Our government policy is completely against what he was saying, even in the parliament. And they're a small minority party, which is allowed to exist in terms of our constitution.
But you do allow them to take land.
No.
You do allow them to take land.
Nobody can
And then
take
when
land.
they take the land, they kill the white farmer. And when they kill the white farmer, nothing happens to them.
No, there is quite
Nothing happens to
there
them.
is criminality in our country. People who do get killed, unfortunately, through criminal activity, are not only white. Majority of them are black people. And we have now
The
been
farmers are
utilized.
black. The farmers are not black.
We
I don't
now,
say that's good or bad.
Sorry about all this buffing. I guess I could have found a better video.
But the farmers are not black. And the people that are being killed in large numbers, and you saw all those grave sites, and those are people that loved ones going, I guess on a Sunday morning, they told me, to pay respect to their loved ones that were killed. Their heads chopped off. They died violently. And, you know, I mean, we're here to talk about it, and I didn't know we'd get involved here. But I will say this, that if the news wasn't fake, like NBC, which is fake news, totally, one of the worst, ABC, NBC, CBS, horrible. But if they were fake news like this that we have here, if we had real reporters, they'd be covering it. But the fake news in this country doesn't talk about that. They don't want to talk about it, but now they have to talk about it. But they won't. This won't even be a subject. They'll have him talking about why did a country give a free, think of this, why did a country give an airplane to
Stop beating me up there, Easy Pass. I have Spectrum, and I'm working on getting Starlink. I just got to get some more money up.
the United States Air Force? Okay? The United States, not to me, to the United States Air Force so they could help us out because we need an Air Force One until that's Air Force One. It's being built, 2 of them being built. But Boeing's a little bit late, unfortunately. So why did they give us a plane to the United States Air Force? That's what that idiot talks about after viewing a thing where thousands of people are dead.
I'm sorry, I don't have a plane to give you.
I wish you did. I take it. I would take it. If your country offered the United States Air Force a plane, I would take it.
Okay. But coming back to this issue, which I really would like us to talk about, and talk about it very calmly. We were taught by Nelson Mandela that whenever there are problems, people need to sit down around a table and talk about them.
Well, there are
and this is precisely what we would also like to talk about, including, of course, trade matters, investment matters. So the issues that concern you as the United States.
Those are all recent. Those are all deaths.
Yeah, in many ways, I mean, one should say you are a partner of South Africa, and you are raising concerns. And these are concerns that we are willing to talk to you about.
Willing to talk to you about, not fix. Or, you know, if it was me, and they're going to go behind closed doors here in a little bit, I would say I want every individual who killed a white farmer to seek the worst punishment your country allows in your judicial system. But you're not denying that you're letting them go free without any consequences because they killed a white farmer. Keep talking shit, South African president.
Let me just add quickly, you know, the criminality that we're experiencing in our country needs quite a lot of technological capability. And in
All right. The rest is all about him backstepping. I'm going to go ahead, instead of trying to watch this whole thing, because it's 44 minutes long and it'll be a lot worse with all this buffing going on. But the rest of that is him backstepping. And then, you know, he brought some professional golfers from South Africa, white golfers. And what the South African president did not expect is the white golfer kind of confirmed exactly what President Trump was saying with that video. You can't deny these things are happening. You say it's not national policy of your country, but yet you do nothing about it. So it's kind of like how our government let the southern border be wide open for 4 years. It's against the law, but they did nothing about it. They made it part of their unwritten policy, and spending money from all these other departments to fund all this. So the president of South Africa got his ass handed to him. I think in more ways than one, far worse than what Zelensky got, because what the president showed to this South African president is you are a piece of shit. For years, the Americans defended the rights of black people in South Africa when the apartheid was going on. But yet you're no better. You're actually worse than the people who oppressed you. So you talk about how immoral England was colonizing your country. But yet when you get power, you do the same goddamn thing. The same thing. And worse, basically. What's that say about them? Kind of like the same thing with the Haitian. Now, I always usually do an update with the Haitian thing, but I didn't pull up any clips from our local Facebook page or anything like that, because nothing news really happened. I mean, other than the constant everyday traffic accidents. So tomorrow I'll show a few of the court cases. I always try to show court cases where they've been given tickets, and a lot of times with no license, no insurance, no nothing. And it even says in it, they were allowed to continue on their way after they were cited and given a court date. No license, no insurance. They let them assholes drive away. And they always cite it's due to a language barrier. Really? That's the excuse that they use here. So, anyways, thanks for stopping in. I got that video that Dave sent Carl, and Carl sent me to queue up here. So before I switch gears, I just wanted to say one more thing about this South African situation. Now they went behind closed doors, and you heard what he said. You know, we want to have a calm, conversation to talk about this. I really don't think there's anything to talk about. I think the president already has in mind what he's going to say behind closed doors, which is going to give them a come to Jesus talk, I'm pretty sure. But how do you do business with a country that's already been doing what they're doing? I say stomp them out, isolate them. You make them the new Siberia. Like it's a place you don't want to go if you want to thrive. Easy past, you are exactly right. And a lot of people have that argument. If they wasn't been colonized 400 years ago, they'd still be walking around with spears and flies crawling all over the place. Yeah. Yeah, that's probably true. Because South Africa is uh, basically the most, I don't know, advanced area in Africa. I don't know if advanced is really the right word, but organized as a you know large metropolis city and business, commerce, and all these other things that most of Africa is not. And and our politicians who you're only letting them over here because they're white. No, 59 people is what he's letting in, not 11 million, who we all know is not going through what those people are going through. Allowing them over here over on refugee status is the true definition of what refugee status is. When you are in fear of persecution from your government, you have a tyrannical government who is basically open season on your ass. You will die if you stay there. Guaranteed. They will take your land. So walking away from your land is the least of your problems. And some people, it's a hard pill to swallow because, like I said, some of them been there since 1652. But when you have an entire country that's against you and you have the opportunity of being killed if you own anything, got to walk away, got to seek refuge. Why didn't Europe offer refuge to them? Because, see, that's the thing. President Trump offered them refuge. Why didn't these other countries? I hadn't heard any of these other countries offering refuge at all. Have you guys? If so, let me know because I haven't heard of that. It's our country, the only one that offered that. And that's a goddamn shame, to be honest with you, if that's the case. Yeah, they would be on the cover of National Geographic. Now, you used to get those magazines just so you could see those titties flopping around carrying them baskets on their head. Don't lie to me. Don't tell me you got the magazines for the articles. Yeah, Jack. I mean, we all agree with that. Uh, as but South Africa got colonized by the English, but the English treated them bad. Let's be honest, they really did. Uh, but the laws were harsh on them, but not like this. Not like making it open season to go in and kill and take their land after they've been farming it for generations. It's different. It's worse. But yeah, you know I'm right, Easy. Okay, so let's do this. I got a video Dave sent us. We're gonna watch. It's 1984. Kind of grainy because of how old it is, and I haven't had a chance to watch it yet. So we'll be watching it together, and I hope it plays without being all screwed up. But let's give it a shot. See if I can find it here. Not letting me find it. What's up with that? There we go. All right, I found it. All right, it's 11 minutes 20 seconds long. Let's watch this. Channel 5 News, April 22nd, 1984. I'm kind of curious what we're going to find out here. So let's get on. Let's get it on.
News with Deborah Norville.
Coming out revealing secret negotiation between the Nazis and the Zionists in 1933, which allowed German Jews and their assets to go to Palestine. Rich Samuels joins us tonight with the story of the controversy behind the book and the author's struggle to write it. Rich?
Deborah, with the rise of Adolf Hitler to power in the spring of 1933, the Jews of the world were faced with a dilemma. They could raise a cry of protest, a cry few would heed, or they could make a deal with Hitler, a deal that would bring a step closer their dream of an independent Jewish state. American Jews marched calling for the boycott of all German exports. Jews throughout Europe echoed that call, so did Jews everywhere. But a group of Zionists at the same time was quietly negotiating an agreement with the Nazis to allow the immigration of German Jews and the transfer of their assets to Palestine. That deal, reported in August 1933, was the transfer agreement. Palestine, sparsely settled by Jews at the time, was radically changed as a result.
I lived in Palestine from 1933 to 1936, and we saw every week transports of German Jews coming to settle in Palestine.
German Jewish settlement of Palestine was, for a time, official Nazi policy. These photos of Jewish life in Palestine, along with a lengthy text, appeared in 1934 in the Berlin paper Der Angriff. A Nazi Visits Palestine was the title of the multi-part series. A medal was struck by Goebbels in commemoration. On one side, the swastika. On the other, the Star of David. Hitler demanded one concession for the transfer agreement, that the call for a boycott of the Reich, raised by Jews here and elsewhere, be rejected by the Zionists. The Zionists made that concession. And so, while Nazis were marching in Germany, and while Jews were marching here, diplomacy was running a more important story. In the Mediterranean, where the dream of a nation-state for Jewish people came a step closer to reality. The story in this book some will find hard to accept.
You've never been told what the origin of Nazi is. NA is National Socialism, which was the German Nazis, And in 1923, there was a double agent who came to Hitler, and he said to Hitler, "Look, your Nazi party is not your National Socialist Party is not getting off the ground. You need an alliance." And he suggested that they ally with the Zionist Party. So the NA of National Socialism joined with the Zionist Party in the World Zionist Party in 1923, and ever after was known as the Nazis, NAZI. The ZI was for Zionists, but of course no one knew that, because our popular mythology is that the terrible Nazis were attacking the Jews. But what we were never told is there was a great schism in the Jewish community of the world between the Zionists and the non-Zionists. You see, the non-Zionists were the Orthodox Jews who believed you could not have a Jewish state until the Jewish Messiah came. They didn't acknowledge Christ as Messiah, so they were waiting for their own Jewish Messiah to come. Then you would have a Jewish state, and that Jewish state would rule the world. But the Rothschilds in 1828 decided they couldn't wait for the Jewish Messiah, so they started what they called Reform Judaism under Moses Hess. And Reform Judaism said, yes, you can have a Jewish state before the Messiah comes. And the reason you could have it was the Rothschilds had made so much money, they said, we'll buy our own state. So the Rothschilds sent people out to the Middle East to have Jewish settlements, and which is today the state of Israel. Totally created the Rothschild money. And so Reform Judaism then became the cause of a great schism between Orthodox Jews and Reform Jews. Now, no one has ever told you this, I'm sure, but you think that the Jewish community is monolithic. In fact, it's split sharply down the middle. But even today, they have riots in the Jewish parliament between the Orthodox Jews and the Reform Jews. And they cannot agree on anything because the basic premise is a fundamental disagreement over whether a Jewish state should even exist today. So in Germany in 1923, the German Jews were quite prosperous and quite happy, and they were not interested in becoming Zionists, and they were not interested in going to Palestine. After all, they had beautiful mansions in Germany, they had symphony orchestras, they had art, they had everything, and they were accepted in the community. As Ezra Pound said, Germany was the least anti-Jewish country in Europe. When you went over into Poland and Russia, you had very strong feeling against Jews. But in Germany, they were accepted and happy, so why would you ever have an anti-Jewish government in Germany? And of course, Hitler, allying himself with the Zionists, he said, after all, you're right. He said, we have the same goals. And so he allied with the Zionist party, and the mission of the Nazis was to force the anti-Zionist Jews to accept Zionism. And this is what the concentration camps were about. They put the anti-Zionist Jews in the concentration camps, and they were placed under the direct administration of the Sonderkommandos, who were the Zionist Jews. So the concentration camps were run by the Zionist Jews in order to punish and get rid of the anti-Zionist Jews, which they did. And of course, that's a part of the Holocaust that you're never told, that this was a fundamental Jewish disagreement, which the German people, that Daniel Goldhagen wrote a book in which he said all Germans cooperated in their anti-Jewish feeling and the Holocaust, which was not true at all. The Germans did not even know what was going on, most of them. It's just like in the United States, when we were perfecting the atomic bomb and bombed Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the American people knew nothing about it. It was forbidden to mention the atomic bomb. I was serving in the Air Force at that time. We never heard of any atomic mission or atomic bomb until the bomb was dropped on Hiroshima. So you could say the American people are guilty of the greatest atrocity, the dropping of the atomic bomb on Japanese civilians. But that isn't true. The American people knew nothing about it. I knew nothing.
Do you think it's the greatest atrocity that ever happened? I think you got to remember, Japan attacked us. You know, we were never planning on attacking them for anything, and they attacked us. So I am wholeheartedly belief that if you kill one of us, we try to kill all of you. So dropping them bombs saved a lot of lives and shortened the war against Japan. So I don't agree with what he just said.
About it in the Air Force. And I was right there. So these things go on without the knowledge of the people or the approval of the people. But of course, they have to accept the results. These things happen, and we're stuck with it. So this is the real story of Zionism, that the Nazis. So then, well, if the Nazis had allied with Zionists, why didn't the Nazi party survive? Well, what happened was, in 1945, after the German military was defeated, they brought in the German leaders, the German generals at the Nuremberg trials, tried and convicted and executed them. They had to execute them because they didn't want them around to testify that about the alliance between the Nazis and the Zionists. So they had to die, and they were executed for that reason. Because, they told about the atrocities that the German generals had committed. But German generals are like any other generals. They don't really commit atrocities. The troops under their command may commit atrocities, but they don't commit any atrocities themselves. These German generals didn't go around shooting Jews or anybody else. But they were executed, and so the Zionist secret was safe. And now the Zionists were now in command of the world because their National Socialist allies were now gone from history, and the Zionists had a free reign, so they set up the State of Israel. And in fact, some Jews themselves even claim that there should be a statue to Adolf Hitler in Israel because he created the State of Israel, which is absolutely true. Without Adolf Hitler, Israel would not exist. The Jews would still be dispersed and they would have no country. But George Steiner, very famous Jewish writer, proposed this about 10 years ago. Hitler. Well, they're not likely to. And because there again, the big job of the criminals is to keep the truth from the people. They want, not only do they want you not to find out anything, but they flood you with disinformation. Most of the stuff that you get in the press is absolute lies. And if it's not lies, it's spin or distortions. In other words, they give you 10% of the truth, and the rest is all distortions. And they demonize people so that you're filled with anger against the Holocaust people who murdered all the Jews in Germany. And and people do get very angry because of these things, and they don't even know what they're angry about because they're not told the facts, and never will be told the facts because the press is totally in the hands of the bankers. Because news is a high-budget, capital-intensive operation. You need a lot of money. You need a staff covering the whole world, and it's a very expensive situation. So the average truth seeker is not going to start his own television station or newspaper because he doesn't have the $100 million that you need to even get it off the ground. So we're reduced to meetings like this, which are very good. And we also, God apparently was merciful on us, and he gave us the internet. Because in fact, in the States, we had this total monopoly of television by 3 television networks, which were all controlled by Zionists. And so along came cable, and suddenly we had all new stations and all sorts of controversial programs coming on, which, of course, the 3 Zionist networks would not touch with a 10-foot pole. And the result was they were left behind. They had 100% of the television audience. They now have 30%, and it's dropping every year. In fact, it's probably less than 30%, but they're cooking the books in order to maintain their advertising revenues to give a totally false picture.
Live on Camel Press, this is the 10 o'clock news with Deborah Norville.
Okay. So while I was playing, yeah, Dave, Japan, did we let Japan attack us? In all conspiracy theories, that's like they said the Bush administration allowed, Osama bin Laden to attack us on the Twin Towers. Um, and of course, what you're saying is like we ignored some warnings that they were going to do it. Probably for sure. Our government is as evil as everybody else's. The thing is unless our government told Japan to do it, Japan chose to do it because they were mad. And you remember that? What the whole reason for it was they were supposed to do some big economic deal with Japan, and then we backed out on this treaty or something with them, and they decided to attack us. That's what my information could be wrong. That's what I was taught in history class. So, and I get it. Just because it's in a history book don't mean that it's factual, because we've seen them in the last 10 years change a lot of history in these school books that wasn't real, isn't real. Yeah, you talk about the media won't touch the South Africa story because it looks like our president is. So we actually have a government in place. Well, let me rephrase that. We have the head of our government in place that I feel is on our side. A lot of the politicians that have been here a long time before Trump got in the office are probably deep state actors, just like the left. They don't want the apple cart tumbled. So, but that's a very interesting video. So basically, you can thank Adolf Hitler for Israel existing. I believe that for sure, 110%. I believe that. And he's saying that the generals wasn't guilty. It was the people that were under them that committed the atrocities. Well, who gave the order? So the generals are just as guilty. So I don't really agree with the statement on that. Um, I mean, this is a conversation to have. Most people, like, I'm not Jewish. I'm American. I'm not know nothing about Israel other than what we hear in the news. I don't believe in handing them a ton of money, just like we've been doing Ukraine. Pretty much Israel, for the most part, can take care of themselves. But I do think it's time to stop what they're doing. They've done enough. They've made their point. I think they've got enough payback for what happened in October 7th. Chemtrails was a conspiracy too. Any professional or doctor or scientist that talked about it went bye-bye in one form or another. That I agree with you 110%. I mean, that's easy to find out, and it's true. There's so many things that's wrong in the world. There truly is. So you have to pick your battles so you can win the war. So to try to fight every battle on every front. See, that was the problem with Hitler. He spread his soldiers out too thin, tried to take over more of the world at one time than he was really prepared to do. Kind of glad that he did that because that was his downfall, but we can't make that same mistake. We have to work on what we can work on so we can win these battles. So eventually we can win the war. Because make no mistake, people, I said this yesterday, I don't think it was popular opinion. We are at war. It's time for war if you don't think it is. And I don't mean getting out here and going pew pew or anything like that. I mean, it's time to fight back. It's time to protest. It's time to do everything that the left does and then some. It's time to forget about being highbrowed and I'm above that, because if you stay with that mindset, we're going to lose. And man, you got a taste of it the last 4 years. That was just a taste. That's like a 20% of the rest of the stuff they really want to do to us that's bad. Think about that. That's about 20, let's say 25%. It could get a whole lot worse, and it will get a whole lot worse if we don't keep people like President Trump in office. And and I'm a JD Vance fan too, so it seems like he, like I said in the interview in the Oval Office, that's President Trump's wingman. He sets him up for the kill all the time. He's very good at it. People talk about, well, he used to call him Hitler. Well, yeah, a lot of people used to call, you know, lot more people in this country hated Trump than they do now, don't they? The people change their mind once they get educated about what's really going on. And then, like, because he said, I know I'm jumping around here, but even he said he was believing what was being said on the news. That's what most people say. Well, I disagree with him because of all this stuff that was on the news against him. But once I found out different and I started learning things, then I became a supporter. That's a story that's happened time and time again. And we got to keep deprogramming these people who drink the Kool-Aid. Get them over to our side. Show them something. If they're willing to learn, be compassionate about it. If they're not, write them off, fuck them. You can't change their mind. They're going to be the casualty of the war. That's just the way it is. They're going to have them meltdowns when they're not going to get their way. Dave, I'm going to read this real quick too. Now I'm jumping around with what Dave, you firing off stuff. Man, you really need to come on the live stream one time. Like I said, you ain't got to be on camera. You can just kick your mic on because you are another version of my man Killer Carl. You dive into this stuff 24/7. I have to take a break from it. Otherwise, I mean, it affects me emotionally. So I have to take a break from it. If not, I'll be one of those people you see on the news that committed something horribly because it got to me too much. So you do it in, day out, just like Carl does. I like knowing people like you. You help me learn things so I don't have to have it consume my entire life. I learn when I need to learn it, and then we pass the information along to help everybody else out so they can know the truth. That means almost no tax on tips passed. Yep, I heard that. As long as the bribes are considered tips. It just searched it. I did read that. I know the no. They're working on the no tax on overtime right now. They're trying to figure it out about who's going to be eligible for it, who's not, that kind of thing. But yeah, so they're working on that. No tax on overtime. Boy, think about that. Like when I worked an hourly job back in the day, I would not work over 8 to 10 hours overtime because if you work more than 8 hours overtime, the tax throws you in a different tax bracket because you're getting time and a half. And damn, it sucked to work that many hours and see how much the government takes from you. So if they can get that passed, even if they did it at a reduced tax rate, like to pay regular taxes on that overtime, not that exorbitant amount that throws you into the next tax bracket, but no tax on overtime. My God, people start becoming workaholics again. Think about that. If you can make time and a half and you're not paying no taxes on that, you're going to work easy 60 hours a week on average. If you're young and working an hourly job and trying to raise a family, you're going to throw that shit in high gear and you're going to put a pedal to the metal. That would be awesome. What's this? How come no big world discussion on the discovery under the pyramids? It's just crickets. I agree. I am interested in that because I am so fascinated with the pyramids and the possibility of alien origins. You know, a lot of people laugh when you say that. They, oh, you believe in that stuff? I kind of, I want to know that we're not alone. And I know we're not because the universes are vast. There's no way we're the only special planet in all these universes. There's just no way. But the next question is the ability for people to travel the distance to visit our little planet. You know what I'm saying? So I'm fascinated with that. I really want to know more about that. Hopefully we'll know something, Dave. It'd be cool to have a show about that or two. What we got here? I'm not in it much. Doesn't take much. I got a life. I'm going to enjoy my summer. Dave, you are in it far more than me, man, and I talk about this stuff daily. But I do talk more about current events, not history. You dig into the history of stuff, which is good. You educate me. I tell people all the time, and I know you've been in my live streams. I give you credit all the time for some of the stuff that I know because you are good enough to send me info all the time, just like Killer Carl does. But I talk current events most of the time, so I don't really do these deep dives into this. But it is good to add it to the live streams with the help of people like you, Dave, because a lot of people are interested in that. Maybe it'll spark something in them to go search further about the origins of Israel and how it got started. And it would literally shock a bunch of people if they knew that Israel was started because of Adolf Hitler. Because the Jews put together that panel of people, that group of people, to go worldwide hunting down all these Nazis that committed war crimes and executed them. So what he's saying about why they executed them is an interesting theory. We know that the Jews are not innocent people. They, even though they're supposedly, because of their religion, they're supposedly godly people. No, not so much. Just like Muslims, they're supposedly godly people, but yet they do so many atrocities in the name of Allah. It makes no sense. Dave, we need to enjoy part of the summer together, but I'm hoping to be an extraordinary or busy man this summer. I'm hoping to have a radio show kicked off, a call-in radio show. Of course, I'm trying to do my live streams 30 hours a week, 5 hours Rumble Premium. I'm bringing my car content to Rumble, everybody. You will see it on my premium channel. I'm going back to the very first video, and then I'm going to talk shit about myself, about how juvenile and immature abilities that I have when it comes to tech stuff, about my videos and how they evolved over the last 4 years making car content. Plus, I have to make new car content still for my car channel, and I have a job. So I have a part-time job, I'm live streaming on Rumble and YouTube in the political sphere. Hopefully, we'll do a radio show with a call-in deal and do car content. Hopefully. That's it. Watch the 5-part documentary of the history of the flat Earth. Flat Earth. You can leave flat Earth out of the. Okay, that's good because I don't believe in the flat Earth thing. Historical facts presented will blow your mind. Yeah, that's what I need, Dave. I need this little brain I got left blown. What we got here? Rothschilds paid for and created Israel. It's fact check out. Okay. I believe you, Dave. I'm not discounting anything you're saying. Um, I trust your information. I do. You're one of the few people I tell people all the time, do your own research. Don't believe what I say. Do your own research. And when you tell me something, you literally send me the receipt of it. When you tell me something, when you send me a message about something, you send me links of videos and documents to read to prove what you're telling me, which is awesome. And you always ask me to put your stuff on live stream, and I tell you I have, and you just ain't seen it. I have showed your stuff on my live stream before, but I believe it was on YouTube, not on Rumble. I showed it on YouTube. So I put it out there, Dave. I really do. So I want to get on to the next subject. What we just seen was very fascinating, and we could probably do a whole show on the origins of Israel and the screwed up way of how it started, and basically how they don't have the rights to do some of the things they're doing right now. More and more people are saying that they do not have the right to do what they're doing right now. Why are they still doing it? Why are they making things worse? What is the point in that? And now they're talking about bombing Iran, and some people say they're doing it because we want them to do it, to attack it's not us doing it, which would cause World War III. It's Israel doing it in the name of Iran trying to wipe them off the face of the earth because they're neighbors, which everybody would go, yeah, they've said it. That's true. And then, their stuff would be hit. The nuclear abilities would be stifled, and it wouldn't be us doing it. It'd be Israel. So we have ties to Israel that is, we can call it an unholy alliance. Nevertheless, there's an alliance there. What's up, Minnesota? Just hanging out. We're talking about Israel. We're talking about South Africa's president and our president in the Oval Office today. South African president got a smackdown from our president, showing receipts, showing videos of public officials calling for the death of white farmers and how to do it and what your reward is. It's disgusting. But our president put him in his place, basically. I'd like to be behind the scenes, what they said when the cameras were off and they were in a private room. President Trump is not afraid to go hard on anybody. He don't care how vicious or dangerous they are. But he also knows you get more with honey than you do with vinegar. But I don't think we really have anything too much in South Africa that we can't dictate what they do and how they do it. I can see trying to make a deal with them, but they're going to have to do certain concessions, and what they're doing to their white farmers is unacceptable. But that's a whole story in itself. we'll see what happens. We'll see what changes after this meeting, if anything changes. You know, it may not change anything. Yep, yep, Minnesota. Our president's a badass. Yeah, Dave, you're right. Israel does have the most power, with the U.S. That's why I say we have this unholy alliance. You know, a lot of people think that just because it's a Jewish state, that it is, ran by a religion that is, you know, good, and may not understand it all the way because, they are the chosen ones, supposedly. Uh, but and I remember that first edition Bible thing that you sent me about the Jews, about where they claim that a 6-year-old girl is old enough to be married. Disgusting. See, you don't hear much about that kind of thing when it comes to the Jews. I got that info from Dave, by the way. I think it was the first edition Bible for the Jewish people, if I'm not mistaken, Dave, wasn't it? Where they said this, and Muslims have a similar thing in their Quran about little girls being ready for marriage at preteen. That's just so gross. I don't even know how to have a conversation about that, other than I disagree with that bullshit, and it'll be a hill I die on. They can just kiss my ass if you think that is good and okay in the eyes of God. If there is a God, yeah, cannot get on board with that bullshit. So who knows? You know what I mean? Tell you what, let's jump on to the next subject real quick. Uh, I wanted to play a couple videos. They're really short videos of the bullshit the left wants to talk about a hill to die on. They want to argue about this shit, and they're not on the winning side. You know how they say 80-20 subject? They're fighting for the 20% that agree with them when 80% disagrees with them. Why they're doing it? It's only because Orange Man bad. They are so afraid of the stuff he's doing to affect them personally, financially, and maybe even legally. They're going to do what they can do. What is this shit? Medication for pedophiles is a lead pill only, or lead pill. Sorry. I'm not sure what you mean by that, Dave. I'm not very. I'm a simple man. You gotta keep it broke down real simple, man. All right, Dave. We'll figure that one out. I the pedophile thing is, you know what I mean. I can't say too much because I'm on YouTube right now, but let's just say, when it comes to pedophiles, if I ever have to get involved with something that I see myself or find out about, let's just say the day's not going to go the way they want it to. Period. No matter what happens to me. I get. Oh, so you did mean lead. Okay, I got you. Woo. I keep kicking this on back. Yeah, I think the pedophiles ought to be castrated. And I know they can still do bad things to a child without actually doing it with their personal body parts. But I think it kind of like when you neuter a dog, it takes the fire out of them a little bit. They calm down. I would think that the same thing would happen to a pedophile. And if they know that it's wrong and it's an urge, that they were born with and they can't help themselves. I would think that I would rather be castrated if that would help change my mindset than to sit and think about doing something wrong all the time and having the ability to do it. You know what I mean? It seems like it might do something for them. I would want to be that way. I'd rather be castrated. NAMBLA, the UN is supporting and helping this group. It's a pedo organization. Yeah, what is it they say in California? They call them minor attracted individuals. I think, is that what they call them? They don't call them pedophiles. They call them minor attracted or something like that. Disgusting. They're always trying to change the language of stuff, like illegal aliens to undocumented immigrant. Bullshit. They're illegal. Period. They're undocumented because they come from third world countries that don't document shit. And we don't vet them when they come here. But man, it's so damn hard to get. It's so easy to walk over that border and be in the system than it is to send them back home and get them out of our system. Our system is so screwed up. It truly is. But let's get it. Let me find these videos real quick. This is a video day, isn't it? Let me jump back into X real quick because this is where the videos are at. All right. We'll jump up into that here in a minute. All right. So here's the first one I want to play real quick.
Student was a guest in the United States on a student visa. No one's entitled to a student visa.
So
We
you
deny
revoked her
visas every
student
day,
visa
and we will
on
revoke and
based
continue
on
to
an
revoke
op-ed,
visas.
which trumps the supreme law of the land, which is the Constitution.
Someone's coming up
You
here to stir up problems on our campus. We're going to revoke their visa.
She didn't
They're
do any of
guests.
that. She wrote an op-ed.
Well,
She
that's
wrote
what
an
you
op-ed,
claim.
and I'm talking to you about her
That's
particular
lawyers'
case.
claims and your
You
claims. Those are not the facts.
You reclaiming my time. You revoked her student visa
Yes,
because
proudly.
she wrote an op-ed.
And
Would
we'll do
you
more.
revoke?
We're going to do more.
I haven't.
We will revoke the visa of anyone who's in this country as a guest
Are
who's
you
here to stir up
going to
trouble.
revoke the visa of somebody who made
Send me
that?
the case.
that
I'll look at it.
that
I'm looking.
statement?
I'm looking
Well,
to get crazy people
actually,
out of our
it's
country.
not just about revoking.
Forward
You
to
actually,
revoking the
Secretary
visas of any
Rubio,
lunatics you
excuse
can
me,
identify.
reclaiming my time. If these are legitimate law enforcement agents carrying out proper arrests, why are they hiding their identities?
Because then radical crazies will try to hurt them.
So you
student was a
That was a dumb question she asked. Do you not agree? When you have people that stay undercover a lot, when they go and do a bust, they cover their faces. She's a stupid woman. What's her name? Parmela Jayapal. Stupid woman. But this is the hill they want to die on. That woman wrote more than just an op-ed, by the way. She organized a group of people for a radical protest for Hamas, pro-Hamas. So this Jayapal, congresswoman or whatever she is, just don't get it. See, they claim that Constitution deal. You ever notice they didn't really go by the Constitution when they were in power, but now that they're not in power, everything's about how the Constitution's not being done, not being followed. I say all the time recently, they keep calling Trump a damn dictator. Well, he's my dictator, so he's going to do things that I want. So I wouldn't want like Biden to be a dictator, which he was, because, the DOJ, they had the J6ers locked up without due process, sitting in jail cells for months and months and months without ever, having legal representation or a court date or anything. But that's fine. You can do that, I guess. When you're on the left, screw the Constitution. Constitution only counts when it's the right doing something. So I say, if they call him a dictator so much, hey, he's my dictator. I want him to be a dictator, and I want him to call upon a whole bunch of MAGA supporters, the ones who are physically capable of doing the job correctly, and make them MAGA soldiers for the president, because he's a dictator. So, let's have his own army in place. Deputize them. Call for martial law and start arresting Democrat. I'm gonna start calling them. I just call them Demtards. I'm not gonna call them Democrats no more. They're Demtards. Start arresting Demtards like this woman right here, and show her what it feels like to be under the rule of a real dictator. And then when we get our way and our agenda done completely, and the American people are happy, the politicians will hate life, but the rest of the country will feel good and smile. Then we can go back to business as usual without the swamp. So I don't know if you guys agree with that or not. I know it's extreme. Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, so North American Man Boy Loves Association. North America. Okay, that's what. Research that map. Minor attracted people. That's why they added the plus to the all LGBT. I did not know that. That makes sense though. It's still gross, man. Who's our DOJ now? Oh, well, I tried to be a Pam Bondi supporter. I really have. But so far she ain't done shit. You know that Hava lady, the one that used to be in Trump's administration and now the state prosecutor for New Jersey. She's arrested more people and holding them accountable than Pam Bondi is, because they just charged and gonna arrest that woman, congresswoman. Now they dropped the charges on the mayor, but they're charging with a felony assault, and it's clear as day in video. Even though the mainstream news will tell you that the video doesn't show anything, and that according to witnesses, it's a contradictory charge or story compared to what Hava is saying happened. When we all seen the video, she pushed and shoved and she punched one law enforcement. I don't know if he's ICE or not, in the shoulder, and then she come down with a hammer type deal on somebody else, and then she put her back to him and pushed her way through to get through the gate. Against the law, all of it. But this is the shit. And then, mainstream news will tell you this woman's innocent, but she's not. Let's jump into the next video. I'm just doing little short clips. Like right here we go. That's what I was talking about right here. Pam is more about what's happening to make. I mean, she's acting like she's the one doing this. 1,000 criminal illegal aliens have been deported in the last 2 months out of Virginia. Why is she making this statement? Because it's not really her doing it. It makes no sense. But here we go.
We are thrilled to be here today at the Department of Justice because President Trump gave us one directive: make America safe again. And we have a great announcement today with a great governor, Glenn Youngkin.
Well, first of all, General Bondi, thank you for your partnership. Today, we are able to announce tremendous success in the Virginia Homeland Security Task Force, a task force that over the last 2 months has been targeting violent criminals who are illegally here. And we just surpassed our 1,000th arrest. 1,000 violent criminals who shouldn't be in this country to begin with. These are gang members, Tren de Aragua, MS-13, human traffickers, drug traffickers who have been infiltrating our communities and unleashing their violent crime. And I have to say, it has been this collaboration between state police, Department of Corrections personnel, and all of the brave men and women at your disposal, bringing hundreds of resources that have been able to effectively take over 1,000 of these violent criminals off our streets.
And we've had FBI, DEA, ATF, U.S. Marshals, U.S. attorneys working with Homeland Security and all of your great officers and corrections officers in Virginia. And this is something the prior administration did not do. Our borders were wide open. These violent gang members, these human traffickers were coming into our country. And what we're telling you now, crime has consequences. And we are so grateful to you, Governor, for everything that you've done. And we are ready to partner with other states because you set the gold standard in how to work together with federal, state, and local law enforcement. Because we are coming for you. If you are here illegally, you are committing crimes in our country, and we welcome other states and other communities to work with us because our communities deserve it.
Yeah, and I personally want to thank the entire administration. From day one, when President Trump was inaugurated, we went to work and we designed this collaboration. And yes, it includes local, state, and federal resources. I also want to challenge jurisdictions like Arlington County, which have declared themselves as a sanctuary city. The federal resources, the state resources are going to work in order to take these violent criminals off the street. And we need your help. You should be part of the solution as opposed to standing in the way, because we are going to continue to make sure that Virginians are safe.
Help us.
Okay, I got one question on this. Is this her job? Is this not Homeland Security's job? Kristi Noem, Tom Homan, ICE. She should be prosecuting the people that Kash Patel and Dan Bongino is supposedly putting cases together for investigations to bring charges against FBI personnel and government officials. That's what Pam Bondi should be working on, not this. This is a Kristi Noem's issue. This is Border Barbie's problem. Why is she getting on television and making these kind of statements when she's not there? She's supposed to be prosecuting people, holding them accountable. She has nothing to do with kicking people out of the country. What is she doing? Somebody explain this to me, how this is part of her job. And then if I'm wrong, I will admit it and I will apologize for even talking bad about her. But right now, I just don't see it. I don't see it. We'll move on. Now here, this is Claire Shipman, who's the president of Columbia University, who removed or stopped the protesting these pro-Hamas things on her and anti-Jew stuff happening on her campus. And listen to the response from the students. This is who they've indoctrinated. Understand what I'm saying? These college, getting ready to graduate, college students are supposed to be our future leaders. And listen to this over because of what she did, because President Trump, and, they went in front of Congress and they were, brought to heel basically about their lack of response for making Jewish students feel unsafe and allowing pro-Hamas stuff to go on their campus. So listen to this.
Claire Shipman.
Thank you.
Good morning, class of 2025. I know that many of you feel Good morning, class of 2025. I know that many of you feel some amount of frustration with me, and I know you feel it with the administration. And I know we have a strong, strong tradition of free speech at this university. And I am always open to feedback, which I am getting right now. The work of your generation will be to shape these interesting times, to define the values.
So basically, what they're chanting there is, I think it's that guy's name that the first one that Rubio and them picked up. That'd been here what, like 2 years or something, and but this is our future. These are our future leaders. This is their mindset. They've drank the Kool-Aid. They have drank the freaking Kool-Aid. Now this last one I got, this is Letisha James's version of the truth. And she, no matter what, she always has to claim about what she did to Donald Trump and is willing to do more. So let's hear it real quick, and we'll talk about it, and then we'll get off this live stream.
As you know, we filed a lawsuit against the former Donald Trump and his family. We secured $454 million judgment against him, which is on appeal. The case is on appeal. I have no idea when that case will be decided. This investigation into me is nothing more than retribution. It's baseless. It has to do with the fact that on a power of attorney, I mistakenly indicated that I was a state of Virginia, but prior to that, I had indicated to the mortgage broker that in fact, in bold cap letters, that I am not a resident of Virginia and never will be. And in the mortgage application, I indicated that I would not live in Virginia and I was not a resident. They just took the power of attorney and they're using that as a basis for enforcement for their investigation, when in reality, the power of attorney was never used to determine my eligibility for a mortgage for my niece for a home in the state of Virginia. My niece who has children, and because I am a bit on, I wanted her to have a home. As
you know, she says that, right? Okay, guys. Now think about this. She said, basically, there's no law, and it has nothing to do with the eligibility of the loan. With this power of attorney saying that she was a resident in Virginia to help her mortgage payment, basically what it is, because there's different rates if it's your primary residence. Plus, if you remember, she's also said that her dad was her partner or husband. Yeah. Okay, so if that doesn't determine eligibility, and then she brought all these charges on Trump because he overvalued his property, which he did not, by the way. Because remember, they tried to claim that the property was only worth $18 million, and everybody says it's worth $400 million plus. Because it sits on two ocean fronts. It has an ocean front on the Atlantic side, and it has an ocean front on the Pacific side. So if you have two oceans, waterfront property, and it's like one of the best resorts in Florida, and property around there that's like quarter of an acre to a half acre is going for $35-45 million. And he has, it goes from oceanfront to oceanfront. I forget how many acres it is. It's a lot because it's got a golf course on it too. Country club, golf course, resort style hotel. And they said it was only worth $18 million and he lied. And so they pressed charges against him. And then they fined him to try to, because they basically knew how much money he had in the bank. And they tried to make the fine almost the exact amount of what was in his bank account. Tell me that ain't suspect. This, as she was saying, it's in a pill and I don't know where it's going to go from here. You know where it's going to go from here? It's going to get dropped because they're going to look and say, Letisha James, what the fuck are you doing? You should have never even brought this case to trial. This is stupid. Because there's no law that says you can't overvalue your property when you're trying to get a loan. You know why? Because every loan officer will tell you it is their due diligence to have an appraiser come and appraise your property before they give you a loan on something. Not the owner. The owner fills out a form and gives them all the information that they know of to the best of their ability. And even though Donald Trump is a little bit more educated than most, it's like my house. I can say my house I feel like it's worth $75,000. It's built in 1892. It's a little 3-bedroom house that sits on a very, very small lot in a poor town. Now, I can say I think it's worth $75,000, but the bank's going to do their due diligence and appraise it and tell me it's worth $55,000. But I didn't break the law saying that. I said, to the best of my ability, this is what I think it's worth. Donald Trump come very close in his assessment to what it was actually worth. And the bank said, there's no crime here. They did not get taken for a ride. They are not victims. The loan got completely paid. And they are willing to and invite President Trump to do more business with them. But yet the Southern District of New York says different. It's stupid. Rules for thee, but not for me, though, right? Yeah, Dave, they didn't, it is naturally rigged, a jury. You are correct on that, Dave. It's naturally rigged because it's a blue area. They naturally will go along with, even if they don't hate Trump, they're not going to buck the system because they know the Demtards and the left, if you don't go their way and you're like supposedly part of their group, they're going to separate you from the herd and they're going to destroy you. And they know this. So they're not going to buck the system. Oh, you want me to say he's guilty? My God, he's guilty for sure. Yeah, he's guilty. Because I don't want my house protested on. I don't want people on my property calling me names, throwing shit at my house. Police won't do nothing about it. I don't want to get canceled on social media. I don't want to be a lot of things. So yeah, he's guilty. Yeah, he completely. And then you had the Stormy Daniels deal with the writing in the description heading on the checks, legal fees. Somehow that's against the law. That's not true, apparently, when it actually absolutely was legal fees because his lawyer paid if you want to call it hush money, yeah. But she signed a non-disclosure, so she broke the non-disclosure. So, he sued her to get the money back and she lost. Y'all know that? Because she broke her non-disclosure. When you sign a non-disclosure, that means you shut the fuck up. You take the money and you just go live your life, whether it's a hard thing to swallow or not. But if you agree to sign the damn thing just to get that money that you were after. But yeah, I think she was told by that lawyer that went to jail. I can't think of his fucking name, but I can get you out of that non-disclosure, and you should ask not for 130,000. You should ask for 30 million, because he's trying to be president. He's now president. You can get more money out of him. But see, the thing is once President Trump found out what they were doing, he's like, fuck that. Tell your story. And then they try to get him because he wrote legal fees because he paid Cohen monthly installments for retainer for legal counsel. Now, I'm sure at the time he did not know that the lawyer that he hired was a moron. Right, Dave. That's what I'm saying. She was pressured. They convinced her to come out and do that. And whether it's political or not, because I forgot to put that spin on it too when I was talking about that. It wasn't all just for the money. The left wanted her to come out so bad, and they promised to protect her, I'm sure, against the wrath of the not following the non-disclosure. But unfortunately, that's not how that works. And then her lawyer goes to prison. Remember that? CNN and all of them were praising him. He was on there like every other day, talking his shit about Trump. And he's like, well, this guy's the next president, going to be the next president. We're going to, support him on the Democrat side, because he does such an effective job arguing against Trump's agenda. No, he didn't. Cohen is Trump's president. I'm talking about Stormy Daniels' president, Dave. Yeah, Clinton's probably had something to do with her coming out too. I agree with all that. The thing is she did it and she was wrong. And all these 34 counts of fraud just by putting on the retainer fee check every month. And all the difference is he added a little bit more to the retainer fee to pay Cohen back the 130 grand that he paid out of pocket on his own. And so Trump had a certain amount he paid Cohen every month that he paid him to be a lawyer, and then he added to it. But the only thing he didn't do is in the description from many times before this and many times after, legal fees. Anybody who's had accounting reporting documents like for your checks and all that stuff and your ledger books, they don't give you much room to describe what you're writing a check for. You got to be pretty pithy with it. You got to be short and sweet. I think legal fees, because he paid it to his damn lawyer, is an honest description of what the check was written for. But no, 34 counts of fraud. There you go. Michael Avenatti. Yeah. Their next president before oops. What is it? He tried to screw over Nike or something, I think it was. And he went up against too big of a dog, and the dog bit. And he ended up in jail, in prison. So, they don't talk about him no more. Oh, gosh. That's crazy. I know that stuff's old story, old news, but every now and then I like to bring it up just to remind you how stupid and asinine and how people who drink the Kool-Aid believe all this stuff, that writing legal fees and your reporting of your accounting for why you wrote the check is fraud. They believe it's fraud. Why would they believe it's fraud? Anybody who knows anything about just doing your household finances, writing checks. Of course, we don't write checks hardly anymore. Everything's done on the internet, but it's still, you still have a place to where you can put why you are making the payment. But when you pay stuff on the internet anymore, obviously, you get the confirmation number and it tells you exactly what you just paid, whether it be electric bill, gas bill, whatever. But when you're writing a check, and I still write checks from time to time, I don't know how many people do, but sometimes people will require checks. Like if I'm buying something off the internet, if they don't have PayPal or something like that or Cash App, I write a check and mail it to them. And in the check, I write the shortest description possible, like what the car part is or whatever I'm buying. That's it. Not what it's going on. Not if I'm bringing it home to, I got to paint it first before I put it on. Nothing, it's not stupid description. I just write in there the shortest description as possible of why I wrote that check. Purchase of Holly carburetor, whatever it may be, or legal expenses. Because I have a lawyer, and when I have to pay him when I got something I need him for, I have written that very exact same thing on the little line at the corner of your check, because business checks are different. They have ledgers and rip off receipts, and you write on the little receipt when the check's not no longer there what that check was written for and the amount, legal fees and the amount. Boom, done. Then you have a ledger for your accounting. Boom, it's under this certain column. Whether it's consumables, uh, legal fees, whatever, utilities, if anybody who knows anything about commercial accounting, you know what I'm talking about. And even with personal checks, there's a little space that you got a little short space to explain why you written a check. So it's for your memory. And if you ever get pulled into court for something, they have a photocopy of your check, because whenever a check goes in the bank, it gets photocopied, and it can spark your memory. Oh yeah, that's why I wrote that check. I wrote it for a carburetor, or whatever. Legal expense. Dumb. This is how stupid they are. So saying that, guys, this is Empty Pockets Podcast, and I do, and also Jimmy Pockets on YouTube. I'm simulcasting right now, so I try to do this daily. Saturday night, I'm on Killer Carl's Free for All Saturday at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. That's pretty fun. It's a bunch of adolescents talking shit to each other and politics. But if you don't catch me daily on my daily live streams, catch me Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern. I'm gonna have a local guy on here. He's offered to come on. I haven't had a chance to get back with him, but I believe he will be available. It's another YouTuber who we're going to talk about the local Haitian issue. I like to talk to locals, like Easy Pass is local in here that's in my chat. And, I like to get Easy Pass on there. I like to get Dave on here. Dave, you need to come on here. Man, if you ain't doing nothing 7 o'clock Sunday, man, holler at me. Let's do this. Let's have a conversation. Any conversation. I don't care what direction we go in. I don't. Because it's all interesting to me, and hopefully it's entertaining enough for our viewing audience that they'll tune in and watch and either chuckle at us or or go, huh, I did not know that. Good to know. Or listen to these fucking idiots. What the fuck are they talking about? Jesus Christ. Sorry about cussing, but that's just me. I'm an old mechanic. Sorry. You heard all my spewing. If you ain't following me, follow me. If you're on YouTube, follow me on Rumble, because I got content on Rumble that you will not see on YouTube because I can't do it. Can't do it. Won't do it. They won't let me do it. So I can't do it. So go to Rumble. If you don't have the Rumble app, download it. It don't cost nothing. Unless you want to get on Rumble Premium. Because, premium means that you don't have to watch commercials like YouTube commercials. You can get on YouTube Premium, which I have, by the way. because I can't stand commercials. Or you can get Rumble Premium and not have commercials on that, and it's cheaper than YouTube. But you'll get honest conversation on Rumble. If you're watching me on YouTube and you ain't done Rumble, man, you're doing yourself a disservice. Come over to Rumble, give me a follow, give Killer Carl a follow. I got a friend, Big Tony Speaks, give him a follow. Southern Fried Podcast. I was just on their podcast this morning, bullshitting with them in the chat room. They're a couple good guys out of Georgia, I think. Yeah, I think it's Georgia. A lot of good people here on Rumble. Good time. Very knowledgeable people. So saying that, guys, appreciate you stepping in. Give me a thumbs up too. I don't never, as somebody told me a long time ago, I don't whore myself out enough. So give me a thumbs up. It helps with algorithms. So till next time, guys, this is James. I'm out of here. Thanks for tuning in.